3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to a trip to the movies. I am your host, Tripp with 2 P's, aka Tripp Muncie, and I am joined by my co-host, Nathan Spencer.
What's going on, y'all?
All right, so today we are going to be talking about the best movies of 2019. 2019 was a great year for movies. Actually, one of the best years for movies in
of the
decade. It tops 2014 in a nutshell, because 2014 had Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it's in competition for best of the decade for sure.
It honestly is. And 2019 had Cats.
That's why it's number one.
That's why it's number one, definitely. All right, so how about we give some information about ourselves so you know who we are. I am Tripp, and I started to watch movies at a very young age. At around maybe 1 year old, I watched Teletubbies and Barney. I think I always watched Tarzan 3 times a day. It drove my parents crazy, but they learned to deal with it. Nate, what about you?
Movies have always been a part of my life. I think the first movie I saw in theaters was Winnie the Pooh, whenever they re-released that, I think. Bug's Life was my first birthday party, and then from there, seeing movies in theaters every year. And then once I started working at a movie theater, saw a lot more.
Definitely.
Because I could just have more opportunities to do so. But then just in my free time, watch them. Love dissecting them, love reading about them, love keeping up with Hollywood, different filmmakers, and just it's my favorite pastime. So
definitely same with me.
Yeah. Well,
first, before we start anything, I always got to crack open a Mountain Dew, which is my favorite drink.
Not sponsored, just would like a shameless plug.
Definitely not sponsored. All right. So Nathan, how about we both tell the people our favorite genres and our favorite movie of all time before we go into our top best.
Okay.
So I'll go first. My favorite genre of movies is horror.
Okay.
And my favorite movie of all time is The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick in 1980.
Yeah. I don't think I could choose a favorite genre. I could probably choose my least favorite.
What is it?
My least favorite is probably horror.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean I don't like good horror movies, though. Like, if we go over my top 100 films, there's quite a few horror movies on there. It's just I gravitate toward it the least, I guess.
Understandable.
My favorite film of all time, though, is Whiplash.
Whiplash. Nice.
Changed my career trajectory significantly, had a big impact on me. But we're not here to talk about that.
Not here to talk about that.
We're here to talk about the best films of 2019. Tripp, you want to start us off with your honorable mentions? Just go ahead and fire off your top 5 honorable mentions, and then we'll go into the top 15.
Top 5 honorable mentions. All right.
Mm-hmm,
so
yes,
the
sir.
first honorable mention would be a movie that I wasn't expecting to be good at all. Jojo Rabbit, which got nominated for the Best Picture Oscar.
Yep, debatable, but good movie.
I think Taika Waititi is a extraordinary filmmaker. Loved him in Thor Ragnarok, and I'm looking forward to see any movies that he will be making in the future.
Yeah, I'm not huge on Jojo Rabbit. I did like it a lot, but I'm with you 100% on Taika. He is a filmmaker to watch, and his comedic style is infectious, and Thor: Love and Thunder is by far the most excited film I am. The most excited I am for a film in the MCU of the next 5 years.
Gotcha. All right, so Nate, what is your one of your honorable mentions?
My 5th honorable mention is 1917. The film I've seen most recently in theaters. I actually saw it twice, and that's kind of what cemented it for me being an honorable mention and not on my list. I think the film is very good. The filmmaking is excellent.
Yep.
The story is decent. And that's why it dropped for me. Only one emotional moment in the film connected with me, which is the ending. That affected me emotionally. That was a moving scene, especially when you couple that with the Deacon's tracking shot of the frontline charge. That was incredible, but not really a whole lot of negative. It just, didn't blow my mind like a lot of these movies did. So,
That's understandable.
what's your number 4?
Number 4 was going to be 1917. Like Nate said, masterpiece in technical filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I love the sound. I like the soundtrack. It really helped with emotion. I feel like
Thomas Newman killed it on the score.
Exactly, and Roger Deakins as cinematographer. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
one of the best cinematographers.
I didn't even mention him. That feels like a crime.
Yeah. All right, so your number 3.
My number 4 honorable mention.
4 honorable mention.
Yeah, my number 4 is Hustlers. I feel like this was a really, really well done crime drama. It honestly reminded me a lot of Goodfellas.
Okay.
I know that's kind of a stereotypical comparison just because it's a gangster type crime film. But I don't know, just the way the camera had the tracking shots were very Scorsese-esque, but not in a rip-off way. It had its own flair, its own style, is glitter and glam as opposed to like grime and the cocaine era of Goodfellas. Jennifer Lopez snubbed beyond belief for Best Supporting Actress. That really baffles me. That is a surprise. They had to reach to not put her on that list. But regardless, great film. One of the best.
Definitely.
Sure. So, your number 3.
My number 3 would be a movie that I absolutely loved until the very end, which completely took a poop on the entirety of the story. It is Midsommar.
Yeah.
And I will say Florence Pugh got snubbed for Best Actress.
Yeah, that'd be my number 6 honorable mention.
Okay, number 6 honorable mention, definitely. The reason why is because I loved Hereditary. Hereditary was my favorite movie of 2018. Mm-hmm. And like I said, horror is my favorite genre of movie. And I loved the cinematography. I think the cinematography is beautiful in Midsommar, and all the acting is on point. The main flaw of it is the story. The story at the very end was absolutely terrible. Definitely. It definitely fell apart.
It fit, for me, the themes. It fit the style of the film. It's just, for me, the symbolism was just too on the nose.
Definitely.
I'm not saying it was poorly executed. I just felt like the film was very smart and very expertly crafted. And then at the end, it just kind of devolved a little bit in terms of the denser level, the layers of the story. It just seemed really blatant in what it was trying to say, and I was like, okay, didn't really care. Florence Pugh, though, is going to be a huge star. I mean, really, she already is, but she's probably the best young actress working today, besides Saoirse Ronan, maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her in Black Widow.
My number 3 is a little scene film that I saw on iTunes, and then I know no one else that's seen it unless you saw it after I told you. A Vigilante.
Vigilante, no, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Olivia Wilde had a really good year for film. This is her film. She didn't direct it, but she's the main star. Sarah Dagger Nixon directed it. It's a crisp hour and a half. It's about someone who's suffered from relational abuse, and then after escaping that relationship, helps other people escape. It's a revenge film. It is an action film, but it's not over the top in either sense. It's really small, really subdued, but she gives a great performance, and it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to do anything beyond the means of the film, and it's just really strong storytelling. I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Number 2.
My number 2 honorable mention for me was a movie that I don't know that much about. I grew up doing ballet for like 3 weeks, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather just go do fencing. It's a movie called The Art of Self-Defense, and this movie really surprised me. It was very comical. Jesse Eisenberg gave a really good performance, a better performance than Batman v Superman. I really loved the storytelling, and the main thing that did stand out to me was the comedy. I laughed a lot, and the story really surprised me at the end.
Yeah.
It was unpredictable. I did not predict the ending.
Yeah, good film. I really enjoyed it. It'd be in my top 30.
Okay.
Like I said, Jesse Eisenberg's great. Imogen, I think it's Imogen Poots. She is really good.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of films that I've liked. Green Room in particular, probably my favorite one that she's in.
It's a good movie.
Underrated, underseen this year, but really good. Yeah, my number 2 is The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, this is Shia LaBeouf's best film this year, I think. Tyler Nilsson and Michael Schwartz were the directors, and it really just surprised me with how sweet it was. It's like a modern-day Huckleberry Finn. It's kind of stereotypical to say at this point because everyone that's seen the movie has said that. But everybody in the film is great. Zach Gottsagen as the lead, Zach, with Down syndrome. He has Down syndrome in real life. He just... phenomenal performance from him. Dakota Johnson, probably her best work that I've seen at least. Wow. Yeah, just a really... probably the sweetest film I watched this year. If I wanted to watch a feel-good movie, this is probably what I would turn on.
Definitely. I had never got around to seeing that.
You need to.
I was too busy seeing other movies. So my number 1 honorable mention that I really wanted to put in my top 15, but it would be The Farewell. And now this movie was moving. I cried at least 2 times in it. Aquafina gave a really great performance, and so did the entire family. And
Zhao Shuzhen as the grandma was...
yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that the movie completely got snubbed from the Oscars.
No appearances. A24 with 1 nomination total.
And A24, I would say, had the best year
I would agree.
of its
any
movie
studio.
career, movie studio. A24 had the best year for any movies. But the Farewell was absolutely phenomenal. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check that out. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, my last honorable mention, and I'll make it brief so we can get into the full list. It might be kind of controversial, and this is not me saying it is a lesser film by any means, but Marriage Story.
Whoa.
Yeah, it'd be number 16 for me.
Wow.
It's off my top 15. However, that doesn't mean I didn't like the film. I actually didn't think I would rewatch it upon my first seeing it, but I did end up rewatching a lot of it, kind of in chunks, and it's grown on me a lot since I first saw it. Okay. Scarlett Johansson, best performance of her career.
Definitely.
After Lost in Translation. And then Adam Driver,
He's
absolutely incredible in this movie. Best performance from him, period. It's powerful. It's sweet. It's bittersweet. It feels real, which is why it's so uncomfortable to watch, because it feels like you're watching a real divorce unfold. It says a lot to Noah Baumbach's directing and writing. Glad he got screenplay nomination for it. Disappointing he didn't get a director nomination, but great film. Great
Definitely.
film. So, you ready to get into our full list?
Ready to get into our full list? Yes. Here's just a side note. Me and Nate both work at a theater. Well, he still works at it. I used to. And I, over the year, I like to see as many movies as I can, so I can make a top 15 list that fully, that fully, shows how much that I love movies, and this is the top 15 that really stuck with me. So the number 15. And also wanted to say I saw 142 movies in total of 2019.
Yep.
That movies that just came out in 2019. Do you know how many you saw, Nate?
So 70.
Saw 70. Okay, so
of new 2019 films.
Perfect. So I saw over half.
Yeah, you saw more than me.
I definitely saw more than he did, and some of them I honestly wanted to walk out. So I'm going to start with my number 15, The Irishman.
Oh, yeah. This is my number 10.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. All right.
So I love The Irishman. It is very long, but honestly, the pacing of the movie was very well done. It didn't seem like it was 3 hours. I feel like the first hour was dragging just a little bit for me, but after that, I loved every single second of it.
Yeah.
I think that the performances, especially by Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And Robert De Niro, always fantastic. One of my main flaws about it is the cinematography.
Really?
Yes. It felt like it was just a shot, reverse shot. It didn't, a movie. It didn't really have anything... groundbreaking or breathtaking about it. I didn't feel any excitement with it, with how it looked like. I mean, it was a great movie and everything about it was fantastic, except for just the cinematography. That's just something that I did not. It didn't drag me in. I wasn't like blown away by any shots. It was just up close, medium shot.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. For me. It impacted me more. Obviously, it's my number 10, so I liked it more than you did. I think for me, it was the presentation of just this being a life encapsulated.
Yeah.
Some of the mundanity of some of the shots just felt like, well, this is how he's viewing life. He doesn't necessarily feel passion for much. The most cinematic shots of the film are when there's violence, and that's
exactly,
for me, that was indicative of how De Niro's character Sheeran felt about his life. That was the only thing he felt he was good at, and the only thing he really cared about. This is a film that really grew on me. The first time I saw it, I thought it was good, and then I revisited it, and the ending just really, really grew on me. I had problems with the daughter character not really having many lines, but then after thinking about it more and looking back into it, I was like, well, that's how he views. That's how it's from his perspective. Yeah. So the daughter not really saying much is because he doesn't ever really give her a chance to voice her mind. He doesn't consider other people's opinions other than his own. And then besides that, Joe Pesci.
God. Absolutely killed it.
Oh my gosh, he blew everybody else out of the water. Like De Niro, he was snubbed from a Best Actor nom, but I was more happy to see that Pesci was nominated.
Exactly.
He's just incredible, and I wish he'd do more films, but this will probably be his last one, and what a one to go out on.
Exactly. I was surprised, spoiler, but I was surprised I didn't see him completely kill people in this movie. He killed zero. He killed zero people in this movie.
Yeah, Pesci, it's the opposite of his Goodfellas.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's very subdued, very methodical. He speaks in a very quiet monotone. Just tell him it is what it is. Tell him that. Like exactly. He I don't think he raises his voice maybe once in the film, and so it's just a great performance, and I loved Scorsese's how he is basically like he was looking back on his whole film career, exactly. And this was him looking back on his impact on the film industry and just his career as a whole.
It was true. It was true to tone.
Yeah. All right. So
your number 15.
Yeah, my number 15 is Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
James Gray's film, starring Brad Pitt. This film really surprised me. I thought it might be a bit slow and uninteresting. But man, it is slow, sure, but it has the best, probably my favorite cinematography of the year. Maybe not best, but my favorite personally.
Okay.
Hoyt van Hoytema, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is a cinematographer who is probably, I think, the best cinematographer working right now outside of Roger Deakins. He shot Interstellar, Her, Dunkirk, Let the Right One In, The Fighter, and he's shooting Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Ooh,
so
that's gonna be
good. The film looks phenomenal. The effects are great. Brad Pitt is this is my favorite Brad Pitt performance. My second favorite also being in a film he was in this year. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But the scene where he's trying to talk to his dad on the radio and tears just start coming down his face.
Inside the soundproof room.
Yeah, and knowing especially that was unscripted really is just like, he killed this performance. And then the cinematography on the moon chase scene, my favorite action scene this year.
That was good.
Yeah. And then the deep blues of Neptune, haunting stuff.
No, that's not in my honorable mentions, but I did enjoy it. I felt like it was slow. I really didn't like the how it was Brad Pitt searching for his dad. That I wish the story did something different, but that's my own opinion.
Right. That's fair.
It gave me a lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey vibes, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, number 14 for you.
Number 14 would be, this is definitely my personal top 10 list, not the best, but number 14 is Doctor Sleep for me.
Yep, my number 13.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So being a fan of The Shining, getting to see Doctor Sleep as a sequel to one of my favorite movies of all time really blew me away in the theater. I know it can probably be fan servicey a lot, but I really, really enjoyed almost everything about it. The performance from Ian McGregor was phenomenal. I actually read the book that Nathan gave me for my birthday.
It only took him 3 years.
Only took me 3 years to read it. Everything was just like the book until the last 30 minutes, which took its own creative liberties. And when I first saw it,
like it more or less, the ending.
Oh, yes, I liked the ending more than the book.
Okay.
I loved the ending in the film than the book because, sure, you can say, oh, it's just fan service, Tripp, but I still loved it because it didn't go by what the book did.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it, and how they made characters from the old movie, from The Shining, appear in the new movie. They also if you just said, "Oh, this is The Shining 2," not that many people would be interested. I love how they kept Doctor Sleep, not a Shining story or something.
A lot of people would disagree with you on that too. The title.
I love how it's Doctor Sleep because
I personally like it as well.
I absolutely enjoyed the film. It was really phenomenal, and just being a fan of The Shining all my life, getting to see something on the big screen that when it came out when it did was really, really fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, this film was a big shock to me. I'm a newcomer to loving The Shining. I didn't like it for a long time. I saw it when I was too young as a teenager. Didn't understand it, found it boring. Then I rewatched it in preparation for Doctor Sleep with Tripp, and I was like, yeah, this is really good. It's like freaking incredible. And I didn't know what to expect for Doctor Sleep. I didn't read the book. So this is my number 13. I was really blown away by this movie. I loved it. I don't have really any flaws with it. The fan service is there, but it's only to serve the story. It's not just there to be there, unlike a big film that came out this year. Rise of Skywalker. But like the conclusion happening, this is in a trailer, so it's not a spoiler, happening at the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
Gorgeous stuff. The way they incorporate characters and motifs from Kubrick's film is just great. The best part of the film for me, I'll wrap this up quickly. Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, I was incredible.
Say incredible. She was great.
She was phenomenal.
Yeah, I didn't know she had that kind of acting range. I really liked her in the Mission Impossible films, and if I'll be honest, that's all I've seen her in besides The Greatest Showman, which won't talk about that movie. But yeah, she was phenomenal as Rose the Hat. This villain is not a typical CGI-filled, big budget adaptation villain. Like, she's got depth, she's interesting, she's captivating, and really is one of my favorite performances of the year. Mike Flanagan, probably the best director working in horror right now. Top three? Probably honestly. Top three. We'll say top three, just to be safe. But my number 14 is another horror director. Jennifer Kent's The Nightingale.
Oh, that is my number 12, actually.
Number 12?
That's
All
my
right.
number 12.
All right, yeah. Both vamp on it for a second.
Definitely.
The Nightingale is probably the most uncomfortable I've been in a film all year. That's over Marriage Story.
Definitely.
This is a film not for the faint of heart.
Nope.
But what I appreciate is it uses its violence and it uses its just unsettling, deeply unnerving, gross actions happening on screen. It's not just for the sake of gratuity. It's not to try and make a cheap buck out of shock value. It really adds to the plight of our characters here. It's about British colonization / eradication of the Tasmanian wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are Aborigines, tribes there that they're eradicating, and then they're also using Irish slaves.
Yeah.
And so the film is harsh. It is
very
bleak.
harsh.
It is depressing.
It doesn't hold back.
It never holds back. Yes. Let me make sure I get the pronunciation. Aisling Franciosi, one of the best performances this year as Claire, the lead here.
Definitely.
She is a furious performer here. She is just incredible.
And let's also not...
Bekali Ganambar as Billy, the Aborigine tracker. He honestly provides a lot of comedy to the film.
Exactly.
And
also a lot of heart.
Yeah, comedy and heart. It kind of grounds the film. And he has probably the most emotionally satisfying arc of the film by the end. The final shots of this film, which I won't spoil because not a lot of people have seen it, it's incredible stuff. I love this movie. Jennifer Kent is probably in my top 10 directors working right now.
Yes, and let's also not forget about Sam Claflin.
Oof.
Like,
I would like to forget about him.
If I could hate a character in a movie because he acted so well, it's this character. Out of any character all year, every time that it cut to his scene or cut to him on screen, I did not want to see him. The first 30 minutes of this movie, I know me and you wanted to walk out.
Not because it was bad, just because of how intense it was.
It was extremely intense and emotionally drawing that usually I have seen a lot of messed up movies, but this is definitely in my top 10 of most messed up movies. And it's not only in just the first 30 minutes. It happens periodically throughout the film. Mm-hmm. It is extremely shocking, but so beautifully shot, beautifully acted. The writing is great.
Yeah.
And I love the story. I loved everything about it.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 13?
My number 13 favorite movie of the year is going to go to John Wick Chapter 3.
Yeah. Good film. Not on my list, but I enjoyed it.
I loved everything about this film, dude. Like, getting to see Keanu Reeves kill people with books and nunchucks on a horse or something like that.
R.I.P. Boban.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the John Wick franchise, I mean, we can officially call it a franchise, is very, very strong in action. Mm-hmm. He's starting to become more of an iconic character. The acting by Keanu Reeves is great.
Fantastic.
Even though he doesn't have that many lines, which is perfect for...
Yeah, perfect for Keanu Reeves.
Perfect for Keanu Reeves. Yeah. Basically, and also a very big surprise. I thought she was just going to be shoehorned in there to, act as John Wick's sidekick, but I loved Halle Berry and her dogs in the movie.
Honestly, her best performance, in years.
Honestly.
Yeah, she was really good in this, and she clearly committed to the training of the gun fu stuff. Like, Keanu is really committed to that, which we've seen in online videos and stuff. But she was very committed too, and it shows. The action, just the first two, hard hitting. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say. I can't wait for John Wick Chapter 4.
Yep, it's gonna be good. It's great. At this point, I don't see how it could be bad.
Yeah, I don't see how
they keep finding a way to up the ante.
Exactly.
So my number 13, like I already said, was Dr. Sleep. So we'll move on from there. My number 12 is The Farewell, which is a movie on your honorable mentions. The Farewell really emotionally affected me. Awkwafina's performance and Zhao Shuzhen's performance as Nai Nai. Just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think Zhao Shuzhen was even an actress before this film. I think she was a friend of Lulu Wang's, and if she was an actress, I tried to look at her IMDb before this, and like I don't think I saw anything.
Yeah.
Her picture, when I looked at this, her picture wasn't even there. So she was just incredible. She should have been up for supporting actress. Lulu Wang's direction, the cinematography was simple, but it conveyed the smaller nature of the film and the story really well. It's a very intimate story. It can be applied to anyone's life, but is very specified. Awkwafina, shockingly good range.
Exactly.
I would not have guessed that. She was the funny side character in Ocean's 8 and Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
She was funny in small doses, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she's funny. But then I was like, no, she has real dramatic talent.
Exactly.
This film is one of the best of the year, and I really liked it.
Yeah. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of Awkwafina, but after seeing her in The Farewell, really, really blew my mind. So I'm looking forward to seeing anything she's in. She was also in another movie this year called Paradise Falls, and really, really surprising. She played a supporting character. Emma Roberts starts in the movie. Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah,
anyway.
So your number 12 was the Nightingale.
My number 12 is the Nightingale.
Let's go to your number 11.
A number 11 that I really, really wanted to put in my top 10. I thought it was going to be my top 10 before I saw this other movie. But Ford v. Ferrari. Now, I do not like any movies to do with cars. I don't really have a passion for cars. After seeing Disney Pixar's Cars, I was like, you know what? I'm never ever wanting to watch another Cars movie again. But after seeing, having Matt Damon and Christian Bale as the lead roles, Christian Bale got snubbed for an Oscar.
Yeah, but he was good.
He was absolutely fantastic. But I thought I was not going to enjoy the story. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, okay, this story is absolutely fantastic. I loved how we got to see both sides of Matt Damon's family side and also Christian Bale's family. And the last, is it 35, 40 minutes of the movie was the entire race scene?
The Le Mans race, yeah.
Yes, that was incredible. It was truly talented and very technically impressive how they shot everything to go on like that. I absolutely loved it, and that's why it's number 11.
Yep, not on my honorable mention list, but a film that I really liked. James Mangold. I'll watch anything he does.
Exactly.
He's a modern master. One of the probably the most, maybe not the most, but one of the most underrated directors working.
Definitely.
All right, so my number 11 is The Lighthouse.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to tell you where that's on my list.
Okay, well, we'll save it for you then. This film is not made for me, except I absolutely loved it. Like I said, I'm not really a horror guy, but this is definitely a horror film. Maybe not in the traditional jump scare sense, but I just loved really everything about it. The performances by Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, some of the best of the year. Both easily could have been nominated for an Academy Award. Obviously, it's a pretty stacked season, so I understand.
Yeah.
But both were incredible. The real winners are Robert Eggers as the director, who's now made The Witch, which I do really like, and also now this. And then the cinematographer, Jaren Blaschke, who actually did get nominated for an Academy Award, very much deserved. A24's only nomination, which is strange, but this is one of those that I really wanted to see in there. The black and whites make this film. If this was shot in color, I don't even think it would work. No, even if you have the same dialogue, the same sound design, the same performances, the same aspect ratio, I just don't think it would work.
It would not.
The color scheme here, it makes it feel like you're watching a book like Moby Dick be read to you. It's like how you feel. You're watching something that looks like how you felt like Moby Dick would be. Like, I know it's hard to describe, but he just captures a mood that is just really good. The Greek mythology aspect of it is great. You can apply any number of themes to this film and it'll fit. The Shining homages, I love. It's just a fantastic film. So
I'll talk about the movie when I get to it on my list.
Yeah, number 10 for you.
Number 10 was a movie that I was 100% surprised about, which I didn't even think was going to be on any of my honorable mentions or top 10. I thought it was going to be like, okay, I'm going to go into it, have a fun time, and walk out. I was blown away and completely caught me off surprise. Knives Out.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Johnson.
My number 7.
Completely blew me away with this movie after making The Last Jedi, which I'm not that much of a fan of.
We disagree, but continue.
But I can I can appreciate it.
Yes.
But Knives Out, every single acting performance in this movie was top notch, especially by the main actress. I'm forgetting her name.
Ana de Armas.
Yes, she was phenomenal. I'm glad that she got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, it's a Globes type award performance, and I'm cool with that. Yeah,
definitely. But the main the best part about this movie is the story, with the someone. It's basically a whodunit, but it keeps you guessing at every single turn. Yeah. Everybody that I've talked to about this movie has said that they were not expecting that ending. I'm not going to spoil that, obviously, but it will keep you guessing. I was just an awestruck by how much I loved it. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, I have to see it again, because you can actually focus on one character and they actually deliver a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
Like you can focus on either Daniel Craig's character or Jane Lynch's character, or Richard Dreyfuss's. You can focus on any character, and they're phenomenal. I absolutely loved him.
This is my number 7. We agree on every point here. I'm a big Ryan Johnson fan. I think he's one of the best directors and writers working today. I love The Last Jedi, but Knives Out is a whodunit, unlike whodunits that I've read or seen before. It takes the genre and kind of flips it on its head a little bit, while also still being definitely like a whodunit. So like it's not going to alienate fans of like Agatha Christie novels, but it'll pull in fans who I think aren't fans of Agatha Christie novels. Yeah. It tells you a lot about the crime really early on. So it almost makes you think, well, is this even a whodunit?
Exactly.
But that's where the surprises just keep coming, and it works for me. The dialogue is great. Daniel Craig as Detective Benoit Blanc is awesome. They're writing a sequel, which honestly, I could watch Daniel Craig as this character for the rest of time.
Down with it.
Also, one last thing that you already talked about, I just want to mention the cinematography was really good.
Yeah.
Steve Yedlin, who is Ryan Johnson's go-to cinematographer, he shot every film that he's done. Underrated cinematographer. He needs to do more movies. Some beautiful shots here.
Exactly. I would like to make a correction. That wasn't Richard Dreyfuss. I don't know why I said his name. It's Don Johnson.
Johnson. I was about to say I don't think Richard Dreyfuss is in this movie, but
I really enjoyed his performance. Not Richard Dreyfuss.
Okay.
All right. So what's your top 10, Nate?
Yeah. My number 10 is The Irishman. I already mentioned that one. So we'll move to my number 9.
Okay.
My number 9 is Uncut Gems.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to tell you where that's on my list as well.
Yeah. I love Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is basically if you scraped the gray matter of my brain and plopped it into a bowl and said, hey, we're going to make a movie out of this. This is pretty much what you would get. You get Adam Sandler, who is an extremely underrated and underutilized dramatic actor.
Exactly.
Giving what I believe is the best performance of the year. Period. I think he's incredible. You have the Safdie brothers with their neon-drenched crime noir, whatever you want to call it, sensibilities. Good Time is a movie I didn't like when I first saw it, and now I unabashedly love Good Time. I think that movie is incredible.
Yeah,
they're just really fun people to listen to talk about movies to. Check them out on anything they appear on. They're just awesome dudes. You got NBA basketball, sports gambling. Like, I'm a huge basketball nut. Like, the Memphis Grizzlies are my bread and butter. They name drop Tony Allen in this film. Kevin Garnett himself plays Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
And is really good.
He's
actually
like good
in this film. Like, it's not even just like, oh, like, you know, he's convincing he doesn't flub up his lines. Like, no, like, he's actually good and gives a legitimate performance here.
Exactly.
And yeah, this film is an anxiety attack for 2 hours. So if you don't feel like having an anxiety attack, don't watch the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But I loved every second and every time I checked my pulse. I was like, yeah, it's probably too high. But man, this film, I loved it. I know it's only number 9, but
yes,
I love it. So
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's my number 4.
Number 4.
I'm just excited to talk about it right now. Adam Sandler's my favorite performance of the entire year.
Agreed.
I feel like no one else could top what he delivered into the movie. The movie never ever lets you breathe except for only 3 minutes of the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 times that are like a minute and a half each that will let you breathe. Mm-hmm. But then after that, it's constantly going on and on.
Yeah.
Now, I don't consider myself having anxiety or high anxiety, but every time that I've seen this movie 3 times. Even though I knew what was going on, my heart was still racing.
Just pounding. Yeah.
Yes. Now, the cinematography is crazy in this movie. Some people can say it's good. Some people say it's bad. I just say it is crazy because it's how the Safdie brothers.
Yeah,
that is their style. I feel like it had amazing writing as well. And talk about the writing. It doesn't even seem like that they wrote the movie. I feel like they just gave. It seems like they gave just Adam Sandler and everybody else just a direction. Okay, hey, this is what's going to happen. Mate, just continue talking.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely phenomenal. It was crazy. And the ending, not a lot of people like the ending, but I feel like the ending was extremely satisfying. And honestly, I can watch this movie over and over again. It was going to be my 3rd favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
But I really thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I think the 4th, it's going to be better at my 4th.
Yeah.
It's just, my top 4 through 2 can be my number 1 as well. Yeah. I was not expecting this movie to be as good.
It's hard to pick.
It was really, really hard to make a list, but every single movie, especially Uncut Gems, is a real gem. Haha.
Nice pun. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Let's go to your number 9. What's your
number 9 is a movie that I consider a 2019 movie because I saw it in 2019.
Okay.
Is a movie by Gaspar Noé. Gaspar Noé. Climax. And this is my only Gaspar movie that I have seen. I haven't been around to see any other movie, but this movie was very shocking. Not as shocking as The Nightingale.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It was very, very intense. And it is also doing the 1917 Birdman approach, where it is all done in one shot.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. So the very first, I would say the first 30 minutes is done in one shot. Then it does a 10 to 15 minute segment of characters talking. And there was no script given to them.
Really?
They were just talking back and forth. And it's all done in French. This is a French film. And then it does like another 6 to 7 minute scene after they're finished talking of a aerial shot, a bird's eye view shot, a bird's point of view of the characters all around in a circle and them just dancing. It's absolutely mesmerizing. I loved this film. And then the final 40 minutes, I can definitely tell where there are cuts made, but it's done flawlessly. It still flows. And the main actress, I don't know her name, but she was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed how, it wasn't just how it had a bunch of people around the world. It had different races, just tons of different people shown in this movie. It was absolutely
a global movie.
It was very, very breathtaking. I absolutely enjoyed it, and it was a surprise to me. And at first, it was my number one, but other movies came out this year. All right, so Climax, definitely see it. It's not for everyone, but it was absolutely phenomenal.
All right, my number 8 is the surprise of the summer for me. The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, this is my number 8. I really just adore this film.
Okay.
Like it's a sweeping epic, but it's also extremely intimate. Joe Talbot, this is his I think his wide debut. He might have had a short film before this. I don't know. It's the first I've heard of him. Jimmy Falls is both the main character of the film and also the lead actor. It's semi-autobiographical of his life in San Francisco. It's a film about gentrification. It's a film about loving and hating your city. One of my favorite lines in the film is this lady is on the bus is saying, "I absolutely hate this city. I hate San Francisco, and I hate living here." And then the guy, Jimmy, looks over and says, "Excuse me, you can't hate San Francisco." And he goes, "Excuse me." The lady's like, "I can hate whatever I want." And he goes, "Do you love it here?" And she goes, "Well, I mean, it's fine." He goes, "Well, you don't get to hate anything unless you love it."
Ooh.
And that's a really powerful line. It kind of surmises the whole film. He at the same time hates what San Francisco is becoming, but he loves San Francisco.
Yeah.
He wants to be there. He wants to live in this house that his family used to live at. It's just shot incredibly. Joe Talbot really has an interesting style, and I'm excited to see what he does after this, especially with more budget. This is a super low budget film.
Definitely.
It actually was pretty successful in the indie circuit. I really hope he gets to do more things soon. But Jonathan Majors, as his friend Mont, stole the show for me.
Especially when he delivered on the stage when he did the one-man act. I was not expecting that. I was floored by that.
He is the best performance of the film. One of the best of 2019 for me.
Definitely.
Probably top 5 overall. I just love this film. It's really powerful, and not enough people have seen it, I don't think. So that's number 8. What's your number 8?
I love The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Not in my honorable mentions, but I really did enjoy that movie after further thinking about it.
Yeah.
So my number 8 movie is a movie that I wanted it to be higher, but I had to put it on at number 8. It gave me a wave of emotions.
Here it comes.
It's waves, and
it's my number 5.
It's completely breathtaking. I heard good things about it, and when I saw this movie, it completely threw me off. The story, cinematography, acting, Sterling K. Brown, I'll just throw his name out. It was moving. I cried a lot in it.
Understatement. Understatement.
We cried a lot in it. I enjoyed the story, and I was not expecting the story to go the way that it went. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the movie is about...
Surprisingly, a spoilery movie. I didn't know where it was going.
Yeah.
And it really turns halfway through, and it's something I think, like I said, it's my number 5, so I love this film. No film broke me emotionally like this film did this year. It's one of the most emotionally affecting films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, emotion doesn't always translate to best, but I just really think that Trey Edward Schultz hit every beat he needed to hit here.
Yeah.
Sterling K. Brown. Can I just say, Sterling K. Brown gave what I believe is the second best performance of the year after Adam Sandler.
I'll say he gave the third best in my own opinion.
Okay, hey, that's fine. Hey, top 3, top 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Just trust us when we say that he is phenomenal as the father of this family. I mean, Lucas Hedges is coming in for 20 minutes, throwing straight heaters.
Exactly.
Like, everybody is on the top of their game in this film. The soundtrack is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
It's songs you will know, but songs that fit. It's Scorsese-esque in how the soundtrack is utilized, and I say that in the best possible way.
Exactly. I'll say Kelvin Harrison Jr. as Tyler.
Oh,
I was not expecting anything about him. Man. I knew that he was in the movie Loose, which I saw this year, and he was great in that.
Yeah.
But this performance blows it out of the water, and that's because of the writing and the directing, but also his acting. He acts how a normal teenage high schooler boy would
struggling with things,
struggling, going through stuff, would act in this movie.
It's raw. It's a raw film.
It is very. It doesn't hold back. And also, I'll also mention Alexa Demine. She was really good in it as Tyler's girlfriend. I was not expecting her to be as good. And also, I'll say Taylor Russell, Emily, that played his sister. Was really good.
Like I said, everybody is firing.
Everyone's
on
phenomenal.
All cylinders here.
And I'll say the cinematography is. Many people will not like the cinematography, especially in scenes that involve cars.
Yeah.
It might give them a headache.
Yeah.
But other than that, I absolutely loved it. And that is why...
It worked for me, man.
That is why it is my number 8.
Yeah. So my number 7, we already mentioned Knives Out.
Yep.
So we'll move to my number 6. My number 6 is Transit.
Okay.
So... I know Tripp saw this movie, and I know that he personally did not actually finish it.
I did not finish it. I fell asleep. I was very tired from work.
So I'll just take the floor here for a second. Transit is a film that adapts a novel from the 1940s about I believe a German refugee fleeing Nazi-occupied France. However, it transposes this 1940s novel into the modern times. So it just plops it into today and doesn't specifically name any of the things going on with immigrants and refugees right now in the global consciousness. It just puts it in modern time and lets us think about that ourselves. And I think that is one of the most brilliant decisions a filmmaker has done this year. Christian Petzold directs this film with incredible precision. This is an intimate story about a man named Jorg who is basically living 2 lives that aren't his own life. He doesn't know what his own life is, and he's living vicariously through the lives of 2 dead people. And it's dehumanizing, but it's also hopeful. It's bleak and depressing, but it's also inspiring. It's a Casablancan romance. It was really breathtaking to watch, and probably the most underrated film of the year, in my opinion. This is the least talked about film that I've seen or heard, read, whatever, all year. And yeah, I loved everything about it. Yeah. So
I loved the only hour and 20 minutes that I saw of it, but
anyway, it's your own loss.
Exactly.
Move on to your next one. Was it
my
7?
number 7. Mm-hmm. I wanted this to be higher. Literally after 8 and above, I wanted it to be higher, but I had to put this at number 7. Booksmart.
I'll hold out on where I have that.
I am a sucker for comedy movies, especially raunchy comedy movies. Those are my absolute favorite type of movies that I can just watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
And when this is not a typical Will Ferrell comedy movie where there's a bunch of poop jokes and inappropriate jokes.
Yeah.
This movie really told a very beautiful story about two high school girls that studied their entire life and now are like, oh shoot, we wasted our entire...
We missed out on everything.
We missed out on everything.
Yeah.
How about we, go ahead
Make up for it in one night.
Exactly. And it was super funny. I'll say that. It was absolutely hilarious. I love both of the lead performances.
Yep.
Every single scene that I watched, I fell in love with, and it is such a rewatchable movie. And it has a lot of heart in it. Which
surprising.
I was not expecting to feel that in a comedy movie that's produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay.
Yeah.
Olivia Wilde. Let's talk about her.
Okay.
The directing in this movie really blew me away because it was unlike any other comedy movie I've ever seen. Because all the other I feel like you can make any Adam McKay comedy movie
before Big Short.
Yeah, before The Big Short, and you can just put a lead, and you can just put a guy with another guy. Hey, say a couple poop jokes, blah blah blah.
Yeah. But
this movie, every single scene had a point to it. No scene was just filler. Every scene drove the story, and all of the comedy worked.
It's hilarious.
It was absolutely phenomenal.
I'll talk more about it
Yeah.
when we get to it.
Exactly. So that's my number 7.
Yeah.
What is your number 7?
Go ahead and go to your 6th one, because I've already talked about my 6th and 5th.
So my 6th movie of the year, and the reason why it's number 6 for me, because I had more of a personal connection with it, is Marriage Story, which Nick said. What was it on your list?
It's my top honorable mention.
Honorable mention, yes. The reason why I loved Marriage Story is because it really hit me in the Honey Nut Filios. The performance by Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson is...
Yeah.
I mean...
That argument scene has been memed, and they're funny, but that scene is just
it's
riveting.
absolutely flooring. When I first saw it, I cried, and then when I finished the movie, I went back and saw that scene again. I cried even more because it's super intense, and this movie isn't just, oh, hey, let's just focus more on the kid and see what the kid is going through. No, this is focusing on court.
Yeah, and a lot of divorce films in the past really like to focus on how it impacts the child, which is fine. I think that's a good presentation of it, but to focus, it's basically a romantic dramedy.
Yes.
Except in the divorce phase instead of the beginning phase, and it's tragic, but it's beautiful. And
it is.
It's a great film.
Noah Baumbach. I feel like he should have gotten a Best Director nomination and Best Writing.
He got writing.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah, nominated. He got nominated for screenplay. At least that. At least we have that.
At least we have that for Best Original, which honestly, personally, I think it's going to win.
I hope it does.
I honestly hope it does.
Either that or another film we'll talk about.
It's, in my own opinion, the best written movie of the year. The dialogue feels real. And just that scene where Scarlett Johansson is going to be getting ready to give him the divorce papers, and she's talking to her sister and her mom. It's funny but also awkward at the same time because it is an awkward situation, and we both know that Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson love each other very, very much, but they just don't work out together.
But they also hate each other.
They also hate each other at the same exact time. And honestly, I loved it. I can honestly watch this movie over and over again and feel the same amount of emotion. And also, I want to talk about Laura Dern. She was fan-freaking-tastic in the movie.
Ray Liotta, too.
Yeah, Ray Liotta. I wasn't expecting him.
No, I wasn't. He was good.
He was good, but Laura Dern.
Laura Dern for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. And that scene when she's talking about what God sent Jesus down to the earth and God wasn't even there, the woman had to take care of him. I mean, you believe
it sounds like something a lawyer would say.
Yes,
yeah.
You believe what you believe, but oh my gosh, I absolutely fell in love with it. Also, to go on Booksmart, go back on Booksmart, I love the themes of it. I loved everything about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Marriage Story, definitely see it. I will wait till it comes out on Criterion so I can buy it.
Let's hope, because Roma's coming out. We can only hope that it comes out on Criterion.
Exactly. All right.
We talked about my number 5. My number 5 is Waves.
Waves, yes.
Which I already talked about. So we'll move to my number 4, and then we'll do your number.
Okay.
We'll do your number 5 after that.
Okay.
Number 4 is, he already mentioned, it's Booksmart.
Booksmart.
I wanted to leave a little bit of room for me to talk about it for a second.
Definitely.
I am not a raunchy comedy guy, so I'm kind of the opposite of you, I guess. It's not films I seek out. But there's a lot of buzz around it, and it was kind of in a dead period post-Endgame where nothing was really coming out, and at least not anything any good.
It was when Detective Pikachu was out.
Oh, yeah, Detective Pikachu, baby. The best movie of all time. Free Detective Pikachu guide pool. That's what it should be called. But Booksmart blew me away. It's my most watched 2019 film.
Ooh, okay.
I've seen it 5 times.
Wow.
I saw it twice in theaters. I watched it on the plane, and I bought it since then on Blu-ray, and I've watched it on Blu-ray multiple times. I can't get enough of this film. I know it's number 4, but it's just like, I just love being with these characters. It feels real. I'm sure this is probably similar to what high school is like in Los Angeles, not what high school was like here in Memphis. However, still, the themes of what these girls are going through. Beanie Feldstein, incredible. Caitlin Dever,
yes, incredible.
Feeling like they wasted their high school experience, I think, is something that every high schooler goes through, no matter what they did in high school. Even if you were the big man on campus and you did all the clubs, when high school is done, it's scary. I say this as a recent college graduate. Moving on to that next phase of your life is very intimidating and somewhat depressing, because it's like nothing will be ever be better than high school, you feel like. And it captures that urgency extremely well. Olivia Wilde, I will watch anything she directs for the rest of time.
Yep.
I can understand why this didn't get nominated for like a Best Director nomination, because it's just not that kind of movie, which is a discredit to how good it is. But I like the Academy doesn't nominate films like this. But man, it is so enjoyable. I love also its focus on surreal elements.
Exactly.
It's not just a straightforward comedy. There's a lot of like mystical, is this actually happening? Is it not happening? Type stuff, and it just kind of happens, and it lets you decide on like, it presents it to you, you consume it, and you're like, wait a second, oh wait, that didn't really happen, and then so it adds rewatchability layers to it. Each character feels fleshed out. No character is a trope. Everyone starts off as a trope, and no one finishes as a trope, which I absolutely love. Even characters with a few lines have an arc, which I feel like Olivia Wilde went to extreme details to convey. It's just a fun film, and I absolutely love it. That's my number 4.
Awesome.
So, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is a movie that I thought was going to be in my top 3, but it's not. It is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Wow. Okay.
And I will say, I
number 4. Wow.
No, number 5. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, number 5.
Yeah, this is number 5. Uncut Gems is number 4 for me.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh God. Number 5. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I love Quentin Tarantino. I think my very first Quentin Tarantino movie was Django Unchained. Actually, no, it was Django Unchained because I was like, I like Jamie Foxx and I like Leonardo DiCaprio, so I watched that when when it first came out. But then I started to get into Quentin Tarantino. I got to see how he directs and how he writes. Obviously, his movies, you can say, are a bloody good time, and they are. And this movie kind of takes a step back on Quentin Tarantino's usual form, and he is telling a great, absolutely fantastic story. Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Late 60s Hollywood.
Yes, and how it tells the story about him and also Brad Pitt as a stunt double. But also, I loved Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate in this movie. Even though at first, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, they didn't really give her anything to do. But if you know the context about this movie, how it was taking place during the Manson family murders, it was absolutely...
It's a perfect choice.
Yes, and it's kind of one of those Quentin Tarantino movies. Like,
I have a lot to say about this one. I'll hold
yes.
it. I'll hold it.
What I really loved about the movie is all the acting. All the acting's phenomenal. My favorite is Brad Pitt. He gave probably one of the funniest performances of the year. And also Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton. It was really, really engaging. And getting to see an actor as Leo kind of play a character, you know, ironically and metaphorically as he did, it's basically Leonardo DiCaprio playing himself. And
like a hyper fantasy version.
A hyper fantasy, yes. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. The music was really, really engaging and fantastic. It's a Quentin Tarantino written movie, so the writing is...
You could listen to them talk for 8 years and not get bored.
Exactly. Yeah. But my favorite part of the movie is the ending, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I absolutely
That's all that needs to be said.
That's all that... We're not going to say anything else.
Yeah.
All right,
so your number 4 was...
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Yes.
All right, so my number 3, because my number 4 was Booksmart.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me, Little Women.
Ooh, okay.
Little Women.
Nice.
This was a film that I had approximately 0.1% interest in when I heard that it was announced. I love Greta Gerwig. I think she's incredibly talented. Lady Bird was one of my favorite films in 2017. Still an incredible movie upon rewatch. But I was like, Little Women, I mean... I've never read the book and I've never seen any of the movies, but I'd rather just see her do new things, not adapt something. Wow, was I an idiot for saying that, because everything about this film is perfect.
Yep.
There are no flaws with this movie.
None
The presentation is incredible. She presents it in a out of order story, jumping from, for the characters, present and past. It is something that it chews on nostalgia. It chews on themes of just not getting over your past, not being able to move forward, love, loss, sisterhood or brotherhood, you know, being a family, class warfare, not warfare, but just like class distinctions. It's a period piece, but it doesn't feel like a period piece, which I think is the best compliment I can give to Gerwig's writing. Yep. The book came out in the 1800s depicting middle-class life during the Civil War. That's something that may not be interesting to a lot of people, but with the way she writes, it feels like I'm talking to my next-door neighbors or watching my next-door neighbors talk. With it, not because what they say is out of place for the period, just because of it feels so natural. It's a very sweet film. It's PG. It's a feel-good film.
Yeah.
It's just Saoirse Ronan, please act in every film ever made for the rest of time. You are incredible. Timothée Chalamet.
Oh man, I was gonna mention
God, was he so charming? Like, I just want to sit with Timothée Chalamet for the rest of my life. He is so charming in this film, and like, I didn't read the book, so I had no idea like where any of the characters would end up or like what would happen. So maybe that helped my enjoyment a little bit. The fact that everything was a surprise for me. But the cast of talent is incredible. Laura Dern, another great performance. Exactly. Chris Cooper, wow, was he good in the few minutes he was in the film. My personal favorite is Florence Pugh. Every film nerd's every film bro's favorite actress right now.
Exactly.
Including me. But Florence Pugh is incredible. Emma Watson was totally fine, but I really would like if she just stopped trying to do an American accent. Honey, you can't do that. I'm sorry.
Nope.
It's not good. I guess if there's a flaw, it's that she sounds British for 50% of her lines. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. The dialogue's so good. No. Meryl Streep's in this movie.
Yeah, and she played a character that you're supposed to hate. And she did it amazingly. She was like Sam Claflin, yeah.
Not quite that evil.
Not quite that evil.
Let's not extrapolate too much here. But this film is Little Women. Honestly, I know the novel's important. I don't think it deserves a movie this good. It's so good. The shots in this film are almost like an epic scale for some of the shots, and it's a movie that I know I'm going to rewatch every year for the rest of my life. I love it, and it's perfect. Greta Gerwig, you were snubbed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she was definitely snubbed. I love Little Women.
What's your number 2?
Number
three. Number three
yes.
for you. What's your number 3?
Number 3 is Nate's number 9.
Ooh,
the Lighthouse.
My number 11.
When I first knew about the movie about 6 months ago, hearing that it was only going to be Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, I was like, okay, I'm interested. Then seeing the initial trailer, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm into it. And then hearing all of the praise and critic reviews, okay, sign me up.
Yeah.
we saw it opening day at the first showing, and it was actually crowded.
I think it was sold out because it was busy.
It had to be sold out.
Yeah.
And then I saw it a second time. There were people. The theater that I went to had it in the smallest theater possible, and there were people on the sides sitting down to see it because it was that good. My favorite performance was Willem Dafoe. He's my favorite. He's my second favorite performance of the year, next to Adam Sandler and Sterling K. Brown. The fact that Willem Dafoe keeps on making these movies or acting in these movies, and he is phenomenally, and he's actually giving it his all, is breathtaking. This is probably my favorite Willem Dafoe performance ever, next to Spider-Man. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
And
for different reasons.
for different reasons.
Yeah.
I love the writing. Now, when I first saw it the 2 times, I saw it in a theater with no subtitles, so it was kind of difficult because they were talking old sea captain language. It was kind of difficult for me to understand the writing a little bit, but then I watched it with subtitles, and then I fully understood what they were trying to say.
For you.
It got better for me, definitely. The pacing was phenomenal. You know how this is a psychological horror. It's definitely psychological horror with scenes that will confuse people and basically make people uncomfortable, but at the same time, the people will be like, "Oh yeah, I like that. That was very ingenious." I feel like the last shot of the movie was beautiful.
Can I just give a shout out, Best Supporting Actor, for that foghorn? Yeah, the whatever sound they use for that foghorn. I need to make that my ringtone on my phone because. I'm not even joking. It's great. Like, it has a character to its own. The inanimate objects of the film are basically the supporting cast.
Exactly. Besides the mermaid.
Yeah, the seagulls, the house they're in, the sheds, the lighthouse, the light of the lighthouse,
the whiskey
that
they're drinking,
whatever they're drinking.
whatever they're drinking.
You don't really know. But yeah.
Anyway, this was going to be my number 4, but then I thought about it more, and if there's more a movie that left an impression on me, it was The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Because it has more to offer.
There you go.
So there we go. So do I talk about my number 2, or do you talk about number 2?
My number 2 is my turn.
Okay, you go.
My number 2 is a film by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh!
And it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Whoa!
Yeah, this film was around number 5 for me for the majority of the year. And rewatched it recently. and it vaulted up. I was like, wow, okay,
Yep.
yeah. This is a masterpiece. This is one of Quentin Tarantino's best. It's my third favorite. Or, well, honestly, it's between my third or fourth favorite between this and Pulp Fiction. And it's just, it's a fantasy film, even though it doesn't seem like a fantasy film. It wishes for a better 70s Hollywood than what we got, which is very nihilistic, very gritty, very violent, very hostile, with the rise of slasher films and horror films, many of which were very, very good, but they reflected the dark times that we were in as a country. The Sharon Tate murders, that was a death knell to classic Hollywood.
Yeah.
And this is a film that wishes that continued, and it's wish fulfillment. But at the same time, it's wish fulfillment that is simply wishing for a better world than what we had, just on a smaller scale. And, Leonardo, it's also a meditation on Tarantino's career, much like The Irishman, which is a meditation and kind of just a look back on Scorsese's career. This film is kind of looking back on Tarantino's career and the impact he's had on Hollywood, and for better for worse, that impact. And it's the same for Leo. It's the same for Brad Pitt. Both of them are playing very meta characters to their own real life personalities. And Brad Pitt, incredible. He's the best performer in the film. Leo's awesome. Margot's awesome. Brad Pitt steals the show. Yep. Quentin Tarantino's dialogue is obviously top notch. My favorite Tarantino film is actually Jackie Brown, which a lot of people don't have very high, but it's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is almost like a spiritual sequel to that. Okay. It's very mature, very character driven, not action or violence driven. It's just a film where you go and spend time with these characters. There isn't much of a forward plot. It does wrap up in an exhilarating climax, which, I mean, it's not really a spoiler at this point if you've been on film Twitter or film Instagram, but, like, man, the climax is awesome.
The way that it subverts expectations.
It subverts expectations in the best way, and it's just a film that I just want to spend time in. And that's probably the best compliment I could give a movie, is I want to spend time in it.
This was... Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was probably going to be about my 7th or 8th movie, but then I rewatched it and I said, nope, it's got to go up.
Yeah. All right, Tripp.
Also, another thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the production design. Yeah. Of all the nominations, it's my favorite production design.
Oh, yeah. The way they captured the neon-drenched, almost rundown LA, but not quite rundown yet. It still has that 50s golden age era, but also has the hippie element creeping into it. Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's got plenty of feet. So
excellent,
Tarantino, you did your thing.
So my number 2 movie is a movie I know Nate has not seen, and I know it would be on his top 10 list if he had seen it.
Didn't have an opportunity to.
I saw a indie Memphis Film Festival release of it, and it is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. That is. This was going to be my number 1, but one other movie blew me away. So, Celine, she was the director. Celine Sciamma was absolutely beautifully talented, and her making this movie was really a testament to prove how good of a filmmaker she is. The acting was mesmerizing. The writing, but
I really want to see this.
But the best part, and I have to look this up, the best part about this entire movie is the cinematography. It's my favorite cinematography of the entire year. It's definitely top 5 best looking movies I have personally ever seen. Every single shot.
It's an 8K, that's what I heard.
Yes, it's an 8K, but every single shot looks like you can pause. if you have it on Blu-ray, you can pause the movie at any time, and someone can paint that shot and hang it up in the Louvre. It is so beautiful. Me and my other friend who saw it, we call this ASMR the movie because there is rarely any. The soundtrack is very faint in this movie. It's almost non-existent. But the cinematographer is Claire Mathon. I hope I said that right. I just got to give praise to her. She was absolutely phenomenal. And wow, this movie absolutely blew me away. And there's multiple endings. It kind of has a Lord of the Rings Return of the King feel to it.
Oh, really? That's
where it ends, goes black, ends, goes black, and then it finally ends. And I mean, it's so beautiful. The fact that France didn't put this movie didn't submit it to the Oscars is a crime. Because if this was nominated, this movie and my number one movie would, I don't know how I could choose between them. It was absolutely phenomenal. It's also one of the best romance movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree or disagree currently because I was actually in France when they had the Indie Memphis screening. And I'm beyond excited to watch this when it comes out in wide release in February.
Yes.
I hate that I gotta wait till February, but
yes, it comes out on Valentine's Day.
I know what I'm seeing on Valentine's Day.
Exactly. But if you haven't seen Portrait of a Lady on Fire, definitely see this movie. I fell in love with it. I will listen to the score. I listened to the score. It is incredibly beautiful, so mesmerizing. You fall in love with it.
You're gonna propose to this movie?
I might propose to it. I might get down on one knee and hang
in front of the Blu-ray.
In front of the Blu-ray and propose to it with a ring pop. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I absolutely love it. It is between this movie and the other
next one, next one. Like we should move on to. I think we have the same number one, Tripp. You want to say it at the same time?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Parasite. This movie is both of our number one because it is one of the best films of the entire decade. I know that's what critics are saying.
It's hyperbole, but it's not at the same time.
It is absolutely fantastic. It is a masterpiece. And when I first saw it, I didn't know how to feel about it at first. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to think about it. I really liked it. Second time I saw it, I was blown away. The way that Bong Joon-ho mixes comedy and drama and suspense
and
horror is it's something that I don't think any other filmmaker has successfully done ever before.
Yeah, he's operating at peak of powers here. Snowpiercer was my favorite film of his before this, which I think is honestly a borderline masterpiece in its own right. But man, like Alfred Hitchcock is my favorite director, and Alfred Hitchcock is known as the master of suspense, but he always imbued adventure, comedy, and horror into his films just because he could, and he did it well. And Bong Joon-ho has taken that mentality of using a set piece like a house, and with the layout that the audience knows, and he explains the layout so well that you know how to get to every room, and you can imagine the house in its entirety at once without having to constantly be shown it. And the way the story unravels, the story just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until it explodes, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
And then when the pieces fall back down to earth and how it comes together at the end is just... It's so visually enthralling that when I saw it, I knew that I wouldn't like any film more than I liked that film.
No. I love how it deals with classism, how it shows,
upper class, lower class.
And we can both connect with it. It's not saying that the poor people are our main family.
Yeah.
How how we're supposed to feel and empathize with them,
Yeah.
but also with the family
Yeah.
that they move into.
And that's what's brilliant is you empathize with both.
Yes, you empathize.
Yeah.
You can see.
It doesn't demonize either group,
No,
which
it
is
doesn't.
perfect. It just presents it to you. Our characters are amoral. Both families do bad things, and then both families do good things, and you care about them basically equally.
Yes.
One's being victimized, and the other has been victimized by other things, but are also victimizing. And so it's like, God, it's just. I don't want to spoil this film because it's something that just needs to be experienced. But what happens around, I guess,
an hour
in, I've never had chills in a movie like I had in that moment.
No.
Ever. No film in my life have I got chills like that. Now, that's not saying it's the best film I've ever seen in my life.
No.
I'm not saying that. But I am saying that in terms of technical skill, writing, performance, cinematography, and just overall presentation, like, there's nothing that I could ask for that would improve this film.
Definitely not. The biggest flaw about Parasite is that it came out in 2019.
Yeah, a year in which it may not win Best Picture because
You have
some guys did a one-take movie that,
Yeah, and honestly,
is like, hey, Oscars, you like
yeah,
Dunkirk, you
that's-
like war films, you like Birdman. What if I just made a movie and combined all of those? And they're
exactly.
like, what? Okay.
Yep. The reason why I say it's the biggest flaw is because it did come out in the year 2019, and I feel like that you could have shown this movie in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and so on, and it would be the top rated movie
Every year?
every single year, because I can't tell you the next time I will ever see a movie that was as good as Parasite. I mean, we all know the acting was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Every single character delivered with the comedy, the unintentional comedy that I was not even expecting. I was not expecting to laugh in this movie.
Yeah, it's so well designed. There is no English in this film.
No.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, I watch subtitles in every movie I watch anyways. But even then, like, if you can't get by the subtitles in this film, I don't know what to tell you. It is incredible, the writing, and it still comes across in the performance, even if you don't understand the language. You can read the words, but even if you don't read the words, you understand what's happening because of how well the film is visually constructed and edited together. You can get a sense of where everything is, where everyone is, what they're doing, what their motives are, where the film is going, just by looking at the visuals, which I think is the best compliment you can give a film, is that if you turn the sound off, could you understand what's happening?
Yeah.
And it's like Mad Max, except they're not action. Honestly, like, you turn the sound off, you know the motivations, you know what's going on, and you can get depth from these performances just in their facial expressions and their actions. Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about this movie except it's on iTunes right now for $15.
Watch it if you can.
It's going to be the best $15 you've ever spent. So,
any closing thoughts on 2019?
2019, honestly, I saw more films in 2018.
Okay.
And I am very glad of all the movies that I did see in 2019. And this was honestly the best year of movies that I have experienced ever in my life. Mm-hmm. Beautifully acting. Mostly all of the films were really, really good that I saw after October.
No, we're not going to poison this podcast with talking about that crap.
Yeah. Basically, 2019 was a great year for movies. And yeah, that's all I have to mostly say about it.
I saw 70 new films this year. That's the most new films I've ever seen in a year. Seen a lot of movies in my life, and even just retroactively going back and looking at the best films from each year. This one's got some heavy hitters, man.
Yeah.
It's an important year for film. Netflix is dominating. A24 the rise of the indie studios and also the rise of the streaming studios is going to be something to watch, I think, for this next decade. Do theaters actually get phased out?
Exactly.
So it'll be something to look forward to. But as long as there are films like Parasite and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and just other films like that coming out, I'll be in the theater.
Same.
Watching them. So
Definitely.
Thank you for having me, Tripp.
Of course. And thank you guys for listening to A Trip to the Movies. I'd like to thank my co-host Nathan Spencer
welcome.
being on here. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for everyone listening. Hope you guys enjoy the podcast and stay tuned to the next one.
All right.
Goodbye.